thinking, why did I let them talk to me like that? Some people use their words not to share truth, but to dominate, belittle, and feel powerful. They interrupt, they throw shade, and they expect you to sit there and take it. But Stoicism shows a different kind of strength, one that doesn't react from ego but responds with calm clarity. In this guide, you're going to learn how to handle rudeness without raising your voice. Not through anger, through precision. If you've ever wished to say less but mean more, stay with me. What you're about to discover might just change how you handle conflict for good. Welcome to Stoic Citadel. But before we begin, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Comment down where you are watching this video from in the comment section below. 1. I'm not the one. Try someone who tolerates nonsense. Sometimes people aren't confused or joking. They're just plain rude to see if you'll put up with it. Not because they need clarification, but to test your limits. I used to be the peacekeeper, the one who laughed off the insults, nodded through the sarcasm, bit my tongue to keep the peace. But there's a moment, and you'll feel it, when silence begins to rot your dignity. When being polite starts to feel like betraying yourself. I remember a meeting at an old job. There was a guy, let's call him Brent. Brent loved making a show. Late to meetings, loud opinions, sarcasm dressed up as confidence. One day, while I was presenting something I had poured weeks into, strategy, research, everything, he cut me off with a smirk and said, "Do you even know what you're talking about? Sounds like a lot of fluff to me." Time slowed. I felt that fire rising inside. And this time, I didn't bite my tongue. Calm, steady, clear, I said, "Brent, I'm not the one. Try someone who tolerates nonsense." He blinked. The smirk vanished. Silence. Nobody laughed. Nobody defended him either. Everyone had been waiting for someone to finally draw the line. Here's the truth you won't hear in leadership books. Most rude people aren't powerful. They're just unchallenged, enabled by the silence of those too polite to call them out. When you interrupt that pattern, not with anger, but with composure, you strip away their little illusion of control. Some people create chaos because they've never known peace. They speak over others not because they're brave, but because silence terrifies them. That's not strength. That's noise. You don't need to match their volume. You don't need to argue. You only need one sentence, delivered with calm, to make it clear. You've mistaken my silence for weakness. And that stops today. Yes, some people will say you've changed. Let them. When you stop tolerating disrespect, some will call you difficult. Let them. You weren't born to carry fragile egos. You were born to protect your peace. And peace, my friend, is a discipline. Next time someone tries to cut you down, stay calm, look them in the eye and say, "Try someone else. I'm not the one." Because the moment you stop explaining yourself to people who don't respect you, is the moment you reclaim your power. And that kind of silence, it's unforgettable. 2. I'm not offended. I just don't value your opinion enough. Some people think just because they voice an opinion, it should shake your world. Like their disapproval should somehow become your reflection. But Stoicism teaches something far simpler. I'm not offended. I just don't value your opinion enough. This isn't rebellion. It's clarity. I remember a moment so clearly. There was someone I knew. Let's call him Kevin. Kevin was the master of fake concern, always ready with a backhanded compliment. One day, I shared a creative project I had poured months into. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. It mattered to me. Of course, Kevin left a comment. "This feels kinda cringe. Is this really the vibe you want?" The old me might have defended, explained, shrunk. But that day, I simply replied, "I'm not offended. I just don't value your opinion enough to care." No anger, no sarcasm, just truth. Here's the reality. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Some people speak not from wisdom, but from insecurity. They hand out critiques, but build nothing themselves. If you let every comment into your mind, you turn your soul into a forum, trying to please noise. Marcus Aurelius knew this. Other people's opinions are not facts. They're reflections, usually of themselves, not you. Notice how the loudest critics are usually the ones farthest from the arena. They judge because it's easier to watch than to do. When you respond with calm indifference, not rage, you strip away their power. Their voice isn't your compass. It's not arrogance. It's self-respect. So next time someone tries to throw shade, wraps jealousy as a joke, or masks disrespect as honesty, just smile and say, "I'm not offended. I just don't value your opinion enough." Because the greatest shock to the insecure is realizing you don't need their approval to exist. 3. That's a strange way to beg for attention. Not every insult is about honesty. Some people are simply starving for attention, validation, relevance. It's not about you. It's about filling an emptiness inside them with noise. You've seen it. They walk in and immediately target others. Your clothes, your work, your light, your silence. Throwing jabs wrapped in sarcasm, hoping the crowd mistakes cruelty for wit. But beneath the smirk, it's hunger. The best response? Calm and simple. That's a strange way to beg for attention. I'll never forget a gathering where this guy, let's call him Zach, did his usual act, picking on people with cheap jokes, laughing the loudest at his own words. Eventually, he turned to me. "Still working on that little project? Must be nice to have so much free time." The old me would have laughed it off or tried to explain. But instead, I smiled slowly and said, "That's a strange way to beg for attention. You need a hug or something." Silence. Not awkward, just clear. Everyone saw it for what it was. Not humor, not confidence, just insecurity on display. Stoicism reminds us, people who attack others are often drowning in their own unspoken fears. Call out the real motive, calmly. No fire needed. Because attention seekers don't fear being insulted, they fear being seen. 4. Every time you speak, it's a reminder to value silence. Some noise doesn't come from traffic. It comes from people who fill silence because they're afraid of what it reveals. You know the type. Loud opinions, surface-level certainty, constant interruptions. After a while, you realize something powerful. Every time they speak, it's a reminder of how valuable silence really is. There was this one guy, let's call him Tyler, always the first to comment, the last to leave, the loudest in any chat. It didn't matter if the conversation was about relationships, finances, philosophy. Tyler always had a take. Not informed, but loud. One day, in the middle of a conversation, he confidently tried to correct someone about something he clearly didn't understand. I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't argue. I simply said, "You know, every time you speak, it reminds me to appreciate silence." Silence. Truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to be heard once. Empty barrels make the loudest noise. Rudeness isn't depth. Sarcasm isn't intelligence. Volume isn't respect. Next time someone tries to hijack the room with empty noise, don't compete. Just stay steady and say, "Every time you speak, it reminds me to value silence." Because wisdom is not in noise, it's in restraint. 5. If you're trying to hurt my feelings, you'll have to try harder. Most insults aren't about truth. They're about control. They want to see if they can access your emotions, make you flinch, react. But when you stay calm, when you smile and say, "If you're trying to hurt my feelings, you'll have to try harder," they lose. Not arrogance. Emotional sovereignty. I remember being younger, when every careless word felt like a stone. There was a kid, let's call him Nick, who laughed at my clothes one day and said, "You actually think that looks good?" I laughed with him, went home, and changed. Another time, someone scoffed at my dreams. "That's cute. You actually think you'll make it." And for weeks, I second-guessed everything. But life has a way of toughening you, not through praise, but through rejection, betrayal, standing alone. Eventually, I stopped listening, not because people got kinder, but because I got stronger. Now, if someone tries to jab, I just smile and think, "If you're trying to hurt my feelings, you'll have to try harder." Because nothing scares an insecure person more than someone they can no longer control. Conclusion. Strength isn't about shouting louder. It's about standing so firm in your peace that no insult, no rudeness, no chaos can shake you. When you master the art of calm responses, you don't just defend your dignity, you inspire others to rise above pettiness too. You become the kind of person rude people can't touch and wise people respect instantly. Remember, you owe no one your anger. You owe yourself your peace. If you're ready to keep sharpening your mind, mastering your emotions, and walking the Stoic path with unshakable confidence, make sure you subscribe to Stoic Citadel. This is where warriors of wisdom are made. Make sure you watch the video popping up next to this one at the top right corner of this video, and make sure to join our community. Until next time, stay strong, stay silent, stay sovereign. See you in the next video.